So we're learning to trust this journey. You could call it the journey of our soul, or the journey of our consciousness, or the journey of our spirit. But it's trusting in what we are. Part of this would be trusting in, say, the law of attraction, right? Your ability to draw to you the things that are right for you, that are going to bring to you the greatest opportunities to learn, the greatest opportunities to grow, the greatest opportunities to expand, right? So that could be a part of it, is trusting in your ability to attract and create yourself, your ability to manifest the right things for you at the right time in your life. So that would be a part of it. But what we're really trusting in is we're trusting in an underlying essence of life. We're trusting that there is something bigger happening here than 7 billion of us just being dropped off, 8 billion of us now being dropped off on a rock floating in the middle of space and just left to fend for ourselves. We're trusting that there is a greater design to all of this than that. We're trusting that there is something more at play here, that there is something more to who I am than just some little thing that exists somewhere in space for a blip of time and then fades into non-existence forever. Trusting that there is more to me than that. Trusting that there is more to life than that. Trusting that there is more to God than that. Trusting that that this all has greater meaning than that. And when we can trust that, in whatever way we frame that for ourselves, again, it doesn't matter if you're Christian or Buddhist or Muslim or whatever. Every spiritual tradition has a framework in which we can understand that I was pointing to right now. Every spiritual tradition has some kind of way of making sense of what I was just talking about there, right? So it doesn't matter what tradition you follow, any one would be fine. Whatever resonates deeply for you, whatever speaks to you on a heart level, right, is fine. Even if you don't have a tradition, even if you just have your own relationship with that which is God, or which is the universe, or that which is what we are, what we come from. However you contextualize that for yourself is fine. But the point is that you have a reliance on that. And as you contextualize your life, and specifically what we're talking about here is love, creating love, manifesting love, contextualizing your love life. So as you contextualize your love life, you can find deeper meaning in all of it than just a bunch of random occurrences that are futilely leading you nowhere towards nothing, and it all feels really hopeless and really bleak. That's what you're trusting in. That's what you're trusting in. So from that perspective, and if we can start to, if you imagine like standing inside of trust, if I could stand inside of trust and then look out at my life from inside of trust, and how would my whole life look standing inside of trust, right? And the people and the experiences and the way everything takes shape and takes form and the way I feel about all of it, it might all look very different from that perspective. Now, I want to say here, this is something that's really interesting, and it's a way that we have trust very backwards. So I want to speak into this because some of you are hearing this right now, and some of you are hearing me say that, okay, you should just trust everything. So if somebody is abusing you, well, you should just trust that. Or if somebody is treating you poorly, well, you should just trust that. It's a part of the journey, that you should offer no resistance, that you should just be okay with everything all the time. And that is actually not what trust looks like. And so what I want to point out here is how much of a misunderstanding we actually have about what trust is when we think about it. Like that if I was trusting, I would just be a doormat. That if I was trusting, I would just let people walk all over me. That if I was trusting, I would have no say in my life, or I would have no power, or I would have no voice. And the thing is a lot of us need to start trusting ourselves enough to use our voice. A lot of us need to start trusting ourselves enough to create the boundaries that we haven't been willing to create. A lot of us need to start trusting ourselves enough to cut the things out of our lives that are not serving us, and we're not trusting that enough. And we're hanging on to things that are hurting us because we don't have enough trust to let them go. And so when I talk about trust here, some of you might have been hearing this as though I was talking about being a doormat. Like you have no resistance, like you have nothing, no say about your own life. It's actually the opposite. When we develop a strong amount of trust in ourselves, we start to become very empowered in our lives. Because I want to talk about one of the really common ways this shows up. One of the most common ways this experience of lack of trust is going to show up is it's going to show up as, and let me just say specifically as it pertains to love. Okay, in different areas of life, it could show up in a lot of different ways. But specifically as it pertains to love, it's going to show up to me clinging to relationships, clinging to other people that are not serving my highest good, that are not making me a better person, that are not helping me grow, that are not helping me learn lessons. Like, let me put it this way. My biggest lesson with this person would be to leave, right? A lot of us are clinging on to relationships that we are suffering in, saying, oh, I'm really doing good work here. I'm really learning my lesson here. I'm really doing the good work. And for some of us, our greatest lesson would be to leave. Our greatest lesson would be to understand that I am okay without this person, that I can let this person go, that I live in an abundant universe, that love is not scarce in this universe, that actually at the core, every single human being on the planet wants love. And yes, some people are going about it in very twisted ways. Some people are going about it in ways that are not allowing them to actually find it. But if I could understand that I live in a universe where love is the foundation of everything, love is incredibly abundant, and I don't need to cling to anyone or anything for love.